This video is brought to you by Card Kingdom. Head on over to cardkingdom.com to pre-order your Kaldheim cards today. Hey friends, Kaldheim pre-constructed decks have been revealed, which means it's time for another round of my Precon upgrades. I'll go over how each pre-constructed deck plays, why you should buy it, and the various directions that you can upgrade the deck and make it your own, including sample $20 and $200 upgrade lists. We kick things off with the Precon Phantom Premonition, an Azorius Foretell deck with a strong Blink sub-theme. The goal of this Precon is to grind out the rest of the table by drawing tons of cards with cards like Behold the Multiverse and Ethereal Valkyrie, deal with opposing threats with cards like Spectral Deluge and Saw It Coming, and eventually overwhelm your opponents with growing threats like Hero of Bredegard or massive token armies like Stormherd. The Precon's main themes merge together with its commander, Raynar the Ever Watchful. Since Foretell is a new mechanic with not a lot of cards to work with, the archetype needs a powerful commander to carry it across the finish line, and luckily Raynar the Ever Watchful does so perfectly. Since foretelling a card costs 2 mana, Raynar basically offers a 2 mana discount on the first card you foretell each turn, which is solid ramp in a Foretell deck. Also, whenever you exile one or more cards from your hand and or permanents from the battlefield, you create a 1/1 white spirit creature token with flying. So not only do you get a token each time you foretell, but you also get a token anytime you blink a creature with cards like Mistmeadow Witch, or exile a permanent with Banishing Light as well. These tokens quickly add up, first providing cheap blockers to keep you safe from attacks, then later turning into game-winning threats, especially when you pump them up with cards like Thunderclap Wyvern. Combining both solid ramp and value engine together at just 4 converted mana cost, Raynar the Ever Watchful is the ideal commander for a Foretell deck. So if you're interested in a grindy Azorius value engine that controls the board while drawing tons of cards and filling the skies with a token army, then Phantom Premonition is the deck for you. Now let's check out the list and see how well it accomplishes its goals. Phantom Premonition does a decent job at showcasing the Foretell mechanic. I count 14 cards that mention the Foretell mechanic, with a few others that indirectly support the mechanic. The Blink sub-theme is actually more represented. I count a combined 26 cards that support the Blink theme, which includes both cards that can blink your permanents and permanents that want to be blinked for extra value, mostly enter the battlefield triggers. There's also a lot of flyers in the deck, with 24 cards that are either flying creatures or create flying creature tokens, plus 2 cards that support flyers specifically. Looking over the list, I think this Precon suffers from a lack of focus. The primary selling point of this Precon is the Foretell theme, but there just aren't a ton of these available in the game at the moment, and the Precon is missing some of the best ones. The deck fills the gaps with a strong Blink theme, which does overlap with the Foretell theme, but also threatens to overshadow it, which I think is a shame. There's also a tokens theme and a flying theme, and again there's overlapping synergies between all the themes here, but it does end up diluting the deck's game plan. My goal with this upgrade will be to add more focus to the Precon, primarily strengthening its Foretell theme and cutting down on other sub-themes. As I often explain in my Budget Commander articles, every time I build a rough draft of a deck, I make sure that I have a certain ratio of the basics: mana, interaction, card advantage, and so on. This gives me a reference point to compare to the deck and see which areas may need improvement. My general ratio is 50 mana, lands and ramp, usually a 37-13 split, 10 card draw, cards that net you 2 or more cards in hand, 8 targeted removal split between creature, artifact, enchantment removal, and counter magic, 3 board wipes, creature light decks might want 1 more, creature heavy decks might want 1 less, 2 graveyard recursion, 2 flexible tutors. At higher budgets though, I recommend more tutors, 1 graveyard hate since you need to keep graveyard decks honest, and 1 surprise I win card, something that can win games the turn you cast it without too much setup. That's always my starting point, which is then tweaked to suit the individual deck's strategy and further tweaked with playtesting. I always find this checklist immensely useful to figure out some quick ways to improve the deck in question. Let's see what the rough ratios are for Phantom Premonition and how it compares. I count 50 mana, 36 lands, and 14 ramp, 10 card draw, 9 targeted removal, 2 board wipes, 3 graveyard recursion, 0 flexible tutors, 1 graveyard hate, and 3 surprise I win cards. From just a numbers perspective, this actually looks like amazing ratios for a precon. In fact, most precons don't even have graveyard hate, something that I've been critical in the past, so this is a welcome surprise. I'm really impressed. Now, in the accompanying article, linked in the video description below, I go over the individual cards that make up this precon and single out my most and least favorite cards in each section. So check out the article if you want a more in-depth analysis. But for this video, I'm going to skip ahead to the upgrades. My goal with the upgrades is to strengthen the Precon's Foretell theme, which is the unique selling point of the deck, while cutting down on cards that don't synergize well with Foretell. The Precon is also packed with way too many high converted mana cost cards, so I will shave down the deck's top end. With that in mind, here are 10 card swaps you can make for just $20. Keep in mind that card pre-order prices are volatile. The card prices in this video may be a little bit different at the time of recording than it is when you actually get to watch this video. In fact, after shortly uploading this video for the first time, there was a massive price spike in our sample deck list, so I had to go back and re-record some footage. And at this point, I just kind of hope there won't be any sudden changes by the time this video comes out. First, we're adding in Cosmos Charger, which is probably the single best upgrade for the deck. It's amazing Foretell support on its own, and when paired with Raynar, lets you foretell 1 card for free each turn, not just your own turn, which dramatically speeds up your game plan. For the Charger, I'm cutting Empyrean Eagle, one of the 2 flying support cards. Next, we're replacing Thunderclap Wyvern for Drogskull Captain. Captain provides Raynar and the other spirits some much needed protection with hexproof, while still providing a nice buff to them as well. Samurai of the Pale Curtain is not only great graveyard hate, but it works really well with Raynar, as cards exiled will trigger our commander's ability. Every cracked fetch land is another spirit token. We're taking out Arcane Artisan, which is slow, fragile, and there's not much payoff to running it here. Amphin Mutineer is a creature exile on a stick, synergizing with our commander and our Blink sub-theme. Gold Knight Commander fits our themes as well, but it's just too weak. Glorious Protector is a great Foretell card that provides overlapping synergy with our Blink sub-theme. Cloud Goat Ranger fits the Blink sub-theme, but it's underwhelming. Depart the Realm is a solid Foretell card, acting as a flexible bounce spell to both disrupt opponents or protect our own things. Heliod's Evangel is better in a mono white deck, and we're trying to cut down on our high CMC spells. Doomscar is a fantastic board wipe that we can foretell in advance and then cast it when we need a wipe for just 3 mana. Surtland Elementalist, however, costs way too much mana for what it does and doesn't have much synergy in the deck, so it's an easy cut. Now we add the spiciest card for our Blink theme, Urian Sky Nomad. When paired with cards that can blink Urian when they enter the battlefield, like Restoration Angel or Flicker Wisp, you can use them to blink Urian, which will then blink the rest of your board, causing a blink loop every single turn that lets you get extra enter the battlefield triggers. Your opponents will quickly need to find removal to break the loop, or you'll just drown them in value. Migratory Roots flexibility isn't needed in a 2-color deck, and it just lacks synergy here. Next, we're adding one of the more expensive Foretell cards, Alrund's Epiphany. Extra turn spells are incredibly powerful, and one with Foretell synergy is too good to pass up. Stormherd just costs too much mana and isn't needed to win the game, so it's another easy cut. Finally, we're adding Reconnaissance Mission. This deck is loaded with evasive creatures, so a timely mission on the battlefield can draw us a ton of cards, and we can always cycle it when it's not needed. Mist Meadow Witch fits the Blink sub-theme and is a nostalgia card for me, but it's simply too slow these days as it costs way too much mana. So here's how the Precon looks like with the $20 upgrade installed. The deck is faster and now more focused on Foretell. We traded out some weaker win conditions for more consistency and better ways to win any stage of the game with the Urian loop. The change should be quite noticeable. Next up is the $200 upgrade. I'm not going to show each individual swap this time, but we're using the exact same logic as the $20 upgrade. we're strengthening our Foretell theme while making the deck overall faster and more consistent. These additions pick up the last remaining good Foretell cards and further upgrades our Blink theme and pretty much everything else about the deck as well. The cuts continue removing lesser themes or weak cards to make room for our best Foretell and Blink cards. Plus, a lot of decent cards are being cut for simply better versions. And here's how the Precon looks like with the $200 upgrade installed. The Foretell theme is pretty much fully fleshed out at this point, so any further upgrades would probably focus on secondary stuff like even better ramp, tutoring, and lands. And that's it for my Phantom Premonition Precon upgrade. I'll be back soon with my upgrade to the other Kaldheim Precon, Elven Empire, the aggressive Elven tribal deck that gives Elf Ball a ton of reach and resiliency. So until then, friends, see ya! Thanks for watching the video. If you liked it, help us out by clicking the like button down below. And to keep up with the latest and greatest, make sure to click the subscribe button. And if you want to watch similar videos, click on the links appearing on screen right now.